The classic ab exercise outside of yoga is plank. Everybody sort of like thinks plank is great for your core, and it is. But generally, you say plank to people who aren't going to the gym, and the first thing they think of is that they were made to do plank at some point, and they go, "Oh my God, this is bad for my back." You know, like this sucks. For whatever reason, it just sucks, and it does suck because if you don't have the strength to do a plank, things like your low back suffers, and that's not fun. And so there's ways of progressing into plank where you're totally in control of it, and there's no risk to the low back. So we're going to play with plank a little bit now. With this, because you need to feel into your own back. If you feel like, God, all I want to do is just watch this, that's fine too. But I'm putting this in because it's the classic move. People ask me about it all the time. There is plank in yoga when we're doing, especially because we're doing sun salutations. And if you're not aware of it, it's the time when I see people do things and it's like, and you might not notice that I don't teach sun salutations that much, and that's probably why. Because I noticed that like plank is the point with people, oh, I do stuff and it's like, it's very hard to fix. So we're going to play with plank. And the easiest way to start off in plank is what we were doing before in tabletop position. So you start off with your hands under your shoulders and your hips under your knees, and you're pressing into the ground, and your abs are activated here. This is what you, because if your abs weren't switched on, you'd be doing that cow position like that. Your abs are switched on. To come into plank a little bit deeper, you can bring your hands a little bit further forward, and then bring your shoulders so they're over the wrists, or closer to over the wrists, depending on how far forward you're coming. And you've still got your knees down. Have you noticed that? You've still got the knees down here. So you keep your abs activated. Think about that movement. Switch on the abs. And you're staying in this position. And you might just want to breathe in this position because after a few breaths you may feel like, boy, yeah, I can start to feel my abs. And this is safe to come out of because you can come out of this quite easily by pushing your hips back into almost a child's pose position. And the low back doesn't suffer. And that's kind of like a cool thing because, yeah, we don't want to kind of do our low back in. So you might feel like, yeah, leaning forward a little bit into this mini plank position kind of works quite nicely for me. I kind of like this. This works quite nice. You might decide you want to go a little bit further forward, so the hands go a little bit further forward. You're sinking the hips down, you're straightening the back a little bit more. This is where you want to be careful that you don't let the low back sink down so it's almost like this sphinx pose position where the hips are sunk, or it doesn't turn into like a mini downward facing dog. The back needs to be pretty straight. And then you can push your hips back again and you can come out of that and it feels like kind of quite cool. I want to come out of it for a second, just give yourself a little bit of a... And this is a good point to assess. How did your low back feel from there? Are you okay with that? Good. We can move into a bigger plank version. The plank in yoga we do with arms straight, we lower down. We're going to play with the lowering down. We'll play with arm straight plank next. So, if you think about what you're doing in yoga, you bring your arms down onto the floor, hands under the hips, and you can bring one leg back, the other leg back, and you're in this plank position. Your hands are over your shoulders, your legs are straight, your toes are down. If this is too much, the nice thing about this is you can bring your knees down, and you can also send your hips back again. So it's kind of safe. It's quite a safe position. But I do notice two things that we want to avoid in here. First and foremost is this sinking the low back in. And it turns into almost like a kind of an up dog kind of position in people's low backs. And then the other one we want to try and avoid, because it doesn't do anything, is a mini downward facing dog where the butt is up in the air in this position. So you want to be in kind of like the middle position where you're feeling like your abs are switched on, your butt's switched on, your thighs, your quads are switched on, your calves are switched on, your chest muscles switched on, you're pressing into the ground, you're protracting the shoulder blades, and then to come out, the knees can come down, and you can either lower down, or you can just send your hips back. How did that feel? That felt good, didn't it? Then there's the kind of the way we make plank harder is to come down onto the forearms. So kind of like the same way again. You would think that like being down on the forearms would make it easier because it's like it's not as far away, but it's actually harder because you're closer to being level. So forearm position, bring the forearms down onto the floor. Either you can have the forearms straight, again think dolphin, or you can bring the forearms together and hold the hands. Kick the feet back. Squeeze the butt muscles. Squeeze your abs. Think about that. And with this, you can either come in by bringing the knees down and sort of shuffling back, or you can do that ungraceful thing of just kind of coming down all the way like that. How was that? That's a good plank trick, though.
Actually, for me, that's easy. That's I've got dodgy wrists.
That's easier for you to do that way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're feeling that one. Some things with plank to be aware of as well. I see people do this meerkat thing when they're looking around. And I know that's kind of a thing in yoga because like, there's so much stuff going on and you don't want to miss stuff. It's better to keep the head in a sort of a neutral position, not flopped all the way down, but just sort of active. So that's plank for you.